This, of course, has become national news. He is a Washington state father, currently on the run after murdering his 3 little girls over the weekend near Leavenworth. Heartbreaking. Look, I'm not going to get into the details of the brutal way in which he killed them. If you want to, for whatever reason, know more about that, you can go look it up. It's just absolutely too heartbreaking, the whole situation. We'll get into, why someone who was homeless most of the time had a visitation with his 3 daughters to begin with. We'll get into that in a moment. But of course, I think the most urgent and pressing thing, and the thing that we need to help with and all of you need to help with, is trying to track Travis Decker down. We do know from the Chelan County Sheriff's Office, they have an ongoing, assistance from the feds, aerial search, ground search. This is a very heavily wooded area, as you know, for anyone who's been to Leavenworth. It's a mountain town, very popular with tourists, sort of a Christmassy type town, Bavarian Village. And there's a lot of trails around there. There's a lot of ground to cover. And this is someone who, former military, has a lot of experience, unfortunately, with survival training and wilderness survival training. And so I think law enforcement certainly has their hands full. I mean, I know I share probably your hope that he did what he should have done and took himself out in the course of all of this, and he's just waiting somewhere to be found. But of course, they need to continue to look for him because he poses a serious danger to everyone who he might encounter. And I think I'm particularly concerned as well, given what we now know he's capable of the fact that this is, like I said, a tourist area in a very busy time of the year for the wilderness area out near Leavenworth, Washington, and for the trails. I've been on many of them. And so anyone who's going to be visiting that vicinity needs to know what he looks like and needs to know not to approach him, to call law enforcement immediately so they can get boots on the ground and track him down. This is the Chelan County Sheriff, Mike Morrison, who spoke to the media and had a message for Travis if he's watching.
We will not rest until Travis is located. Travis, if you're listening, this is your opportunity to turn yourself in. Do the right thing, do what you need to do, and take accountability for your actions. We're not going to go away, we're not going to rest, and we're going to make sure we find you. You will be brought to justice. Those young ladies deserve it.
Yeah, and every time there's a story like this, too, I also think of law enforcement and the first responders, the sort of things they see and that they have to take home with them every day and that they have to live with as well. I could never do a job like that. And so I certainly am so grateful for all of those first responders, and my heart goes out to those who came upon this scene. So a few details of his 3 daughters. Peyton was 9 years old. Evelyn was 8 years old. Olivia was 5 years old. He was estranged from his wife, but it sounded like they had a pretty cordial relationship still. There's a lot of pontificating out there about why was he allowed to have a visitation with his daughters in the first place. This was at a campground. He was mostly homeless. He was certainly having some challenges as a veteran. He was ordered to have mental health treatments and anger management counseling as part of the parenting plan. But in terms of the parenting plan, it sounds like, the mom really believed that he wasn't dangerous, that he loved his daughters, that he would never do anything to hurt them. So she wasn't opposed to him having visitation with them, although he wasn't supposed to have overnight visitation. So it was like a few hours at a time. She did apparently tell law enforcement that when he picked up his daughters for what was just supposed to be a 3-hour visit on Friday, he was kind of quieter than usual, which she told law enforcement was out of character for him. I hate to sort of, I don't want to get into a guessing game about what a court was thinking, or a blame game on any of it. It does sound outrageous to me, though, that someone who's homeless would have any sort of unsupervised visit with their children. I don't think all homeless people are bad people. I don't think all homeless people are dangerous people. But certainly there's an element of, I guess, instability or unpredictability amongst a homeless population. I say that having had a father who was homeless at the end of his life, where I just don't know that that's the best environment for children to be, period, and certainly not unsupervised. And so I think there's some questions that the state has to answer in this case. But again, the most important thing is to share Travis Decker's photo far and wide to make sure anyone in that vicinity, and I would imagine he's still in the area, to be honest. Again, there are hundreds of miles of wilderness for him to hide in. I believe he was Ranger Battalion, so he certainly is going to have a pretty profound capability to survive out there and to elude law enforcement. So everyone needs to know what he looks like. Do not approach him. He's obviously dangerous. Horrific case. The nation's attention on Leavenworth today, and understandably so. And I guess we can play this with the Wenatchee Captain Brian Chance, because again, there continues to be this conversation about why did he have visitation with his girls to begin with, and Captain Brian Chance with the Wenatchee PD sort of reiterated what I just explained to you there.
There was no reported history of problems with the parenting plan. There were reported concerns of Travis being homeless and financially stressed recently.
Yeah, so there were a few stressors going on in his life. Obviously no stressors that would justify murdering your 3 young daughters in cold blood. Horrible, just horrible stuff.